You're listening to the Go Lightly Martial Hour on freedomtalkradio.net. freedomtalkradio.net.
All right, we are actually here. Hello, John, over in the chat room. That was quick.
Is that really?
Move from Facebook to the chat room really fast. It makes it sound like,
John Hall.
Yeah, John Hall. Hello, Rodney, you're there as well. All right, now you may have noticed yesterday with our new our relocation from one side of the desk to the other. Now you can see both of us. I've also got the big screen happening to my right, so as I'm looking in that direction to see what's going on the big screen, that's what I'm doing, because the screen is not visible on the YouTube. So let's dispense with the formalities for the day. It is 12:02 p.m. Today is Tuesday the 30th of June in the year 2015, and what is happening tonight?
Well, we have a Star of Bethlehem, as they say, a second one occurring, which actually isn't, it's a third.
It's the third.
But it is an alignment of Jupiter and Venus. And very, very bright. We have very good conditions here the last few days. You see the two stars coming closer and closer together. But more importantly, because of our work we've been doing in Papua New Guinea, I set this all up some time ago. And as you know, I did the numbers for everything. And over Papua, and primarily Port Moresby, the two planets are lining up for 698 minutes each, which is martial in Greek. It's also the term I am, as in I am that I am. So the words I am are found in 698 verses of the King James Bible, and that's very significant as well. But I'm sad to say that a couple escaped the explosion that occurred in Taiwan. I'm a bit sad about that. The gay people had gathered there to celebrate the decision by the United States and the Supreme Court for gay rights all throughout America and of course throughout the world itself. And what happened was they got multicoloured metal material, and
sprinkled it through the air,
above this crowd of thousands upon thousands of people in Taiwan. And what happens in industry, for example, if you've got a wheat silo, one of the things you've got to be very careful of is the dust accumulates in these huge hot silos, and the static electricity builds up and of course will cause a spark, and then an enormous flash fire will occur. In fact, when I was in hospital, some of you may recall, I saw a fellow that I tried to assist for several days with had a back injury, and the fellow in the next bed to me had motor neuron disease, and the nurse would come in and turn the oxygen down, and it's a funny disease. It either affects from the torso up or the torso down. In his case, it was the torso up, so he couldn't do much, couldn't swallow, but he'd get up and walk around. And he'd walk over to me and he'd take his both hands, hold a pen, and I'd hold a pad and he'd write me, because he couldn't speak, he'd write a message to me. He was a Hungarian fellow. And Joe, his name was. So when I went down finally for my operation on my back, there was several days it had been cancelled because of the doctors that were working on me had to deal with people who come in with head injuries and motor accidents and things like that. So they kept on postponing. And during that time, Joe and I become friends, and I said to him, although I was in agony, I said, look, if you need more oxygen, let me know and I'll just give you a nod, and I'll get up and stagger around to his end of the bed and turn the oxygen up a bit because the nurses kept on turning it down. So he was choking, basically. When my coming back from the operation, after several hours, I saw him floating on the ceiling on the hallway as we're coming down, and in the distance, some 30-40 metres or so, the red light was flashing, which was the room that I was in with him, and he was dying at that moment. So as the trolley was brought down, I'm watching him as I'm going past, looking up, and I could see him in the fetal position laying on his side up against the ceiling with his eyes closed. And I thought, that's Joe, like very recognisable. It's not as if he's saying, is it something? No, it's absolutely. It's just as if you're looking at someone standing in front of you that is looking straight back at you. In this case, it was Joe on his side up against the ceiling. The ceiling was about 14 feet high, which is about 4 metres, I suppose, 5 metres. And I could clearly see that as I'm coming towards him down the hallway, that here he is there, and I'm watching. And a ghost, you can see actually through them in lots of cases, and I could see through him, and you can see the ceiling behind him, and I'm watching as he's going, as I'm being pushed along by the trolley. Because the guy who's pushing the trolley, he didn't see it. So as we got close to the room that we were sharing, the red light was on, the nurse is running back and forwards, and I got pushed into the next room. Now the next room was a room that was vacant because a ghost had haunted it, and the nurses got to the point where they didn't want to go in there. And what had happened, this fellow had been caught in a silo explosion in Vancouver, and he was badly burned because of this dust had ignited. So in the hospital, a nurse had come in and put a tube through his nostril down, was supposed to go into his stomach to feed him because he's so badly burned, and it went into his lung, and she turned on the drip, and it filled up his lungs and he drowned. And he wasn't accepting that as a dead man, so his ghost remained and haunted that room, and this is the room I was in. So a nurse walked in, and I said to her, don't say nothing. And at that point, I could see what had happened in the room next door, and I was going to tell her about Joe being on the ceiling as I was coming down the hallway, being delivered back to our to my room, but had to go to the room next door where the ghost was. And I told her what I saw, not at that moment walking or being pushed down the hallway, but what actually happened in the room. And I could see Joe, how I was trying to revive him, give him oxygen and so forth, and he was choking, and finally he died, and the soul leaves. So I told her that, because she was rather stunned by that, because this is about an hour later. And later on she came in and talked to me some more about it, and I told her more of what I saw. But she then went into the fact that the room I was in was where this man had died because of this explosion. Now, ghosts are very real. This is the whole point. You can't kill the soul. That's why I fear him that can kill both body and soul in hell, and you're in it. So with the gay pride thing that's sort of got out of hand, I first encountered the homosexuals when I was about 10 years old, I guess. I'd moved from a Catholic brothers where I used to get beaten every day by the brother Lucius, Lucifer used to call him. And, well, it's a shame, there's only 400 injured.
There's a lot of speculation. I read an in-depth article this morning that was written by Natural News because they were reporting on it because it was sponsored by the gay modelling. Let me read it. The organiser of the Colour Play event, also called Rainbow Party, is a key founder of Gay Rights Taiwan and is listed on Pride Watch Taiwan. So it was advertised all over, this event was advertised all over the internet, Facebook and their own site, pridewatch.tw. And the main sponsor for the event was a gay modelling agency called New Urban Male. And the article written by Mike Adams from Natural News was that they covered it, reporting exactly what it was, and they cause you can see clearly that. Go back. I'm just watching the 1 minute report from RTV. I've got the volume turned down. This is what's happening before the fire, which blows up as a fireball and traps these people. It does engulf them. They are alive.
Badly burnt, that's good.
And but the point is in the article that Mike Adams wrote, and he just reported the facts, was that he had to retract it because it was referred to as biblical proportions, and the fact that these people were burned alive. Well, he said they weren't burned dead, they were alive, running out covered in flames, engulfed in flames. Anyway, of course, the political correctness of it all brought him under the gun and had to... Yeah, totally. Look at this. These people are alive, they're engulfed in flames, and they are burning. And it was a gay pride event organised by there's no getting around it, as the PCs have come in trying to detract from what it was. It was a gay pride event, totally. Organised by this, sponsored by this gay modelling firm, etc. Anyway, the whole thing is synchronistic, coupled with the Supreme Court decision. So now the world is taking that on board and it's legalising it all around the world. And as one pointed out, well, you know, next is pedophilia, which is already hitting the headlines. This is the bottom line is that every empire on the planet, once it has risen to this point, has fallen.
Yeah.
And there is no escaping the fires of hell for these people. So what Yah's been saying is a warning. He has been offering the chance to escape this. It's a warning. So what does he do? Shut up and say nothing? What happened to these people is a fact. But what happens to their soul once their flesh body dies is far worse than what is seen here on the screen. You can all sit around and, you know, want to PC it all you like as far as political correctness goes. But you're all deluded if you think for one moment that anybody who is gay, anybody who is a pedophile, anybody who practices bestiality, anybody who practices the abuse of children in any form...
Well, you can't beat him with a stick, no.
It's going to escape the damnation. Totally. However, if you think that you're going to escape the damnation of hell, we're going back to John 8:44, we are living in the end times. What is the end times? Well, get a load of this. The creation is really short. The period of time is less than 36,000 years. Man has been on the earth for a little bit over the last 6,000 years. Because God is what? Well, first of all, he's impatient. He doesn't sit around like an amoeba for billions of years for mankind to get its act together. No. Everybody's been given a chance. You've all been here before. All evil is back on the earth, given up to 7 times to get it right. That was in his mercy. However, none have got it right. So all evil is accumulating, compounding interest for the evil of their lives before. Hillary Clinton, Obama, Queen Elizabeth and all of her family of reptiles, whatever you want to call them, they're demons. Forget the reptiles, these are the demonic realm occupying the flesh bodies of all of the rulers on the earth. And all of the gays and the pedophiles and murderers and perverts of every other kind. They're all back on the earth, gathered for what? The judgment of God.
As a man.
Forgiveness ended with his rebirth. There is no more forgiveness. Hello?
Except for the wonderful Jews, I'd like to speak a little bit about that.
The Swedge.
Swedes. Oh, they are lovely people, aren't they? They are chosen.
Yes, by their God Lucifer.
By themselves, yeah.
Yes.
So, so they're in for the high jump too, I'm afraid to say.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt anybody really, except for these gays and homosexuals and everything else. I have no problem burning them all alive. No problem. I've seen what's happened over my lifetime of 71 years. So, of, say, observation of 69 years, because I was a very bright little child. And my family, I mean, they got murderers, drug addicts, homosexuals. My sister was a lesbian. My brother was a child molester. My father was he's not a real father, there's a Holy Ghost involved there, but the one that married my mother, Reggie, cruel, sadistic bastard, to the extent that Stalin would have loved him, he'd have been his right-hand man. So he enjoyed inflicting all sorts of unusual pain and suffering mentally on me. I'll give you an example of that. When you hear about Hitler and the Jews and all that kind of stuff as a child, because it's all propaganda, I didn't have it. But I'd get a stray dog or whatever, and then old Reggie would take him off to the dog pound, where in those days they put him in a gas chamber and gas them alive. And he'd make a joke of it. And every time the relatives would come over, usually once a week or something, he'd have the old joke would roll out, he couldn't help himself, drive along on his truck, and the old Sam Cusack, the guy's name was, in charge of the SPCA, or the RSPCA in Australia. Any dogs today, Rich? He'd sing out. No, I got rid of the last one last week. Right? And you could go there, and I had done this, gone there, looking for my dog, and you'd hear the dogs being gassed in the chambers. Now that's not a little kid, right? And so old Reggie, he enjoyed telling me that he'd taken my dog to the gas chamber. So I had a sort of an empathy with the Hitler idea of gassing all these poor Jews, right? Because later on I was even more pissed off when I found out that didn't happen at all, that Hitler was the saint, and it was the other way around because of Roosevelt. 1492, name come out of Spain during the Inquisition when they got rid of the Jews for butchering little Christian children. Child sacrifice.
Christian.
So you had two presidents of the United States, the Roosevelts. Then you had Eisenhower, a Jew. And then you had Churchill, a Jew. Then you got the 60 million killed by Stalin, and that's never mentioned, right? So you got all these things that's happening throughout the world. To this day, we're accumulating worse and worse and worse in the moral way of decay. And we've had the horrors of World War I, II, Vietnam. But even when I was a youngster, the Vietnam War was on. And it was conscription time. So you had to register. Well, I didn't register, I wasn't going, right? And I remember my fiancée at the time, she said, "Oh, you're a coward." Well, luckily, I couldn't get close enough to it to knock the bastard out. But calling me a coward is a very, very big mistake. I'll stand up against anybody, anywhere, anytime, for any reason that's righteous. As simple as that. So anyhow, I had no way in the world was I going to go over to Vietnam and these places and kill people because some politician said I had to, or the Queen said I had to. So Australia is rather unique in that sense that they are such bigoted idiots that every war that England or America has been in, Australia's joined them. It's extraordinary. They are so stupid, the people here.
Well, the famous line from that movie that we watched recently with Russell Crowe as the star, when he's looking for his son in the aftermath of World War II, and he's actually in Turkey staying there. And the Turkish soldier said to him, so why are you here? Why are you fighting? Like why did Australia enter the war? For the sake of land, like protecting your land. And Crow just looks at him and said, no, for honour, for king and country and all that. Like,
yeah, we got lots of land.
We got lots of land. There was no threat to our land. So the Turkish dude kind of looked at him like, are you screw loose? But anyway.
So anyhow, Australians are a funny race of people. They all think they know everything, and of course they don't. And they've all got an opinion. And you can sit down and talk to them eyeball to eyeball, and I think it's what Hitler might have got the question when he would talk to the Jews, that you think you win a point, the next day the Jew is back the same way he was before. And Australians are a bit like that. If they give you a sport and they give you all that kind of thing, and keep you occupied, because if your mind's occupied on sports and tennis players earning millions and golfers and this kind of thing, it keeps your mind away from
what's really going on.
What's really going on in the world. And that's how they control Australia, and I suppose to a certain extent other countries too. But it's all two lovely friends, the Jews. And I have said that I have known some good Jews. One fellow, he was so disgusted, he went to fight in the Six-Day War. And he was amazed how much the Jews over there, he's an Australian fellow, born Australian, how much they hated Palestinians for no reason.
Palestinians.
So he came back
children.
and he said that the Mossad wanted to use his passport, and he said he wouldn't give it to him. So he thought I was a Jew. So we had a lot of discussion. I said, well, I'm your king, whether you like it or not. He didn't have no problem with it. But as it turns out, of course, he was a nice enough fellow. And he would, around Christmas time, go to the old age pensioners and help out with the food for the old Christians and the pensioners. So he was a pretty decent sort of fellow. But he said to me, he said, I can't change my religion. He said, I was born into it and that's it. I said, oh, well. But he didn't know that I wasn't a Jew. He thought I was a Jew. So anyhow, there's some good Jews out there, no doubt about that. But there's also some evil bastards, because from the rabbi level up, and I have encountered many Jews who thought I was a rabbi, well, because the way I speak, and they would say to me, on one occasion in particular, was the Noahide laws, which has been brought in 1981 or something in the United States and also Australia. Well, they can guillotine you, cut your heads off, no point. If you were found at the say-so of a Jew that you are guilty of a crime, you will be beheaded. One witness. Right? And always they will rule in favour of the Jew if it's a court case. So I spoke to these Jewish. One was the ex-Governor General of Australia, goes to show you how high they are up in the political scene. And also there were Supreme Court justices, also Jews. And they're talking about the wonderful Noahide laws that they're bringing in, how the Jews are going to rule the world. So I, in Christian time, pointed out that they're full of shit. Because one lady, a Jewish lady, had asked the rabbi how the Noahide laws was passed down to Noah to the Jews. He said, oh, he got around that, he sort of talked his way around it. And I said, well, it would have to be magic in the sense that Judah came along a long time after Noah. And before that didn't exist, so therefore there was no way a Jew was on board the bloody ark. Right? So in Christian time, from that point onwards, they wouldn't ask me when I put my hand up if I had anything to say. But during the coffee break, we went outside, and all these Jewish people, 100 of them or so, came pouring out and surrounded me and wanted to talk to me about when I'm going to do seminars, because I was the first rabbi that's ever told them the truth. Now that sort of astounded me a bit, but it wasn't surprising really, I suppose, when you think of it. And I said, well, not at this moment. I said, but just remember the name. So that was the Jewish people in Melbourne, at the Institute of Humanities, believe it or not, as they call themselves. So yeah, there are some good Jews out there, no problem. There's a lot of good Christians out there too. However, the high jump is a little high for some of them, and they ain't going to make it. So I won't have them on this planet, because although you can ask an Australian if this is true or not, and they'll say it's not, so therefore it is, that the entire universe is dedicated to being a breeding ground for a simultaneous explosion, if you like, of life in the way of the Garden of Eden that wasn't quite right here on this planet. So that in the future, our offspring that'll look a lot like me will be pointing towards a little speck of light in the distance, several 100,000 light years away. That's where God is. And this is in their psyche, will be in their creation, in their videos, in their books, in everything in their history of how we had the battle on this planet to get rid of the homosexuals and the child molesters and all those types of things that offend me. Doesn't matter whether it offends you or not, I don't give a fuck about that. Whether it offends me, it does. So, I was a champion high jumper, by the way. So I can clear the height, but you can't. So you better be very careful of what you think and say in the future, because it's very close. Today we have the Star of Bethlehem lining up again, and from that point onwards, hello, I'm back. Well, that lady who was doing the astrology said the other day, some major thing's going to occur where there's a world leader going to emerge and put the world right.
Yes.
Well, she got that right.
Yeah. In all the ongoing distraction, there are snippets of information that come by us that...
Do you say come by us?
Come by us. Come by. Kumbaya, man. Sing along. Kumbaya. Anyway, yeah. The world knows I cannot sing. Doesn't stop me from trying.
I thought it was Dame Nellie Melder then.
Yeah, right, yeah. Kumbaya, if only I could. One of these days I'll be able to wake up and not offend the ears of those that are... bottom line is, getting back to the subject, yes, information comes our way, snippets of information in the world of delusion, where people are getting information, they're just not sure where it is to be directed or what it's for, so they're connected to the ether of what the angels are revealing. But as you know, everything revolves around Yahweh. Time and space revolves around Him. His rebirth, day and hour, January 11th, 2:22 a.m.
Start to embarrass me, Mom.
And his rebirth location, 105 Rothschild Avenue, Rosebery, Sydney, Australia.
But don't worry about people believing it here. It's those little ones to come. You're going to look back at that 100,000 light years away. He's over there, and it's the story. What's happening?
And I said it before that... Rodney says that song's in my latest video.
Kumbaya.
No, This Little Light of Mine. So you had Kumbaya, did you, Rodney? As well as this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. That must have been one of your Sunday school songs, Rodney. And then Kumbaya.
Never having been to Sunday school, I couldn't too.
Yes, yeah. I remember those days. I remember only a few years ago, before I found you, probably 2 years before I found you, sitting across from the table in my mother's then home, and
with her brown-eyed and blue-eyed children.
She said, what do you want to do? And I looked at her and I said, I want to tell people about the real Jesus. See, I was looking for you when the world wasn't. I was looking for you on the earth. I was compelled for 9 years to find you on the earth. So this was about 2 years before I actually did. And it was my sole drive, because I'm Martha. Hello, Martha Magdalene.
You can't get out of it.
I can't get out of it. And, people thought that I was. I needed to be committed to an institution. And then, of course, the night I did find you, when David Clues sent me the link that came from Al, after I'd had the interview with Al the Angel in 2007, it was 9 months later still, that I found you because I'm Martha Magdalene, and I was compelled to find my husband, like a dog on a bone, and just not let go, not give up. That's what it's all about. So, as Yah has not given up in all these years, I had to head down against the winds of persecution in my own life, had to find him. And then, of course, once I did, hello, that's the trumpet blast. Ta-da! And, of course, I faced the rejection, but I was used to the rejection as well. And it's all good for the good. Yes, but that conversation with my mother, I just want to tell people about the real Jesus, what he's really like. Well, soul, you are soul.
You are soul.
You are soul. He is all soul.
You'd like to see it.
Well, John has seen your soul worn over your flesh body when he was here. As a matter of fact, he saw the ghostly covering. If Jonas was there, he'd be able to confirm this. But yes, he was looking at you, and when you moved to play pool, because that's what we do in this household, he saw the soul, your immortal white garment soul, moving independently of your flesh body. And it astonished him. He was stunned. And then he found a photograph that was taken when we were sitting on the base of the pyramid and you were holding the small child that had been shoved in your face, life of Brian. But he was a delight. You were nursing him, and then Ahmed was on one side and I'm on the other, explaining to Ahmed all things because he really wanted to learn. And then you were moving with the child, and the camera caught your soul moving independently. Was there like a delay? I said, there is a radio signal here. And anyway.
That looks weird, doesn't it?
Very weird, but this is what people are seeing. Now, I wanted to, I
was hoping there would be a busload of cops out the front, but they didn't show up.
Not yet.
They can bring their guns, it's all right.
Now, getting back to what people are doing with ICC and VAT3, we're being really cool here by referring to it as ICC, In Christum Credent, Pope Benedict's Apostolic Letter, and VAT3. This is just being really cool in the world of acronyms and or capital agencies. Well, this is the Kingdom Capital Agency. What am I trying to do? Get back to the conversation with John Hall this morning. Now, a lot of, or rather some of you, are printing out, signing ICC and VAT3 and then sending it by registered mail to Yahweh as your acknowledgement of him, and our acknowledgement, his acknowledgement of you as a kingdom citizen when that is done.
We're getting passports made for $1, aren't we? Something like that.
Well, yeah, John sourced blank passports. We're going to, well, it's all part of the privacy.
It's all part of the privacy.
That without the Holy City...
Well, I'm going to charge $1,000 a piece for it.
Only those who are allowed in by God passes the gates. Now, I won't...
We're going to have a homosexual one with a big hole in it.
Oh, God, don't, please. Not even joking.
And burn around the edges, right?
No, we were sent VAT3 and ICC signed through the email, which we will download and print out. So many of you are struggling with the system of the beast as it is, especially within the UK and the USA, where you are having everything stolen from you by this system.
Well, you've got to pass through the furnace, you see. This is the 3 men that were in the vision of Daniel, where he sees the Lord with the 3 men. Nebuchadnezzar tried to burn them all alive, and they heated the furnace up to 7 times. There's a clue, you see. Did it actually happen? No. It was 7 times heated up the furnace. Well, if that means 7 times, and then the Lord is in there with you, and because the 3 men
escaped
the furnace. But the people the soldiers that heated up the furnace, they all got consumed in the heat for heating it up. So there's a bit of a parable there, and there's a lot of truth in it, because when you step into the mythical, spiritual, dreamtime world, the idea is to get the thought to your soul, and the soul is going to respond to it and say, well, yeah, I understand that. This is what the message is, because the soul is talking to other souls in this soul realm, if you like. And when you come to the earth, well, it retains memory of where it's come from, where you've come from, though you might not know yourself. And as a result of that, you should respond to what the words that are said in that particular regard, of 7 times in the furnace, right? So your soul is refined 7 times in the furnace. Up to. Then it's
time of the end.
Time of the end.
No more chances. And that's what the end times is all about.
Yeah. So Daniel, Ezekiel, these people, they're all Essenes. The Book of Enoch is very, very important. And now, you've got to be careful with the Book of Enoch because it is parallel with Revelation. But you've got to look at who interpreted it and if they were a Jew. So don't worry about getting the interpretation right. We do know that all of the saints, patriarchs, were all of the Essene. That is why I was an Essene. If they were going to be saintly, they have to be the same as the Lord. Well, the Lord comes to you as an Essene, and I'm still an Essene. So this Jewish nonsense, God, they're lovely people, though. I can't help thinking. They're very warm in my heart for the Jews. I wonder if there's any Chinese Jews in the fucking fire that just went off. Sorry about that. Didn't mean it. I like a good Chinese meal too. Roast China. Funny thing, if there's any dragons over there, they're probably hungry after another hour, you know. After a good Chinese meal. There's a joke about 2 dragons, right?
Right, okay.
With all those hats and rickshaws all scattered all over the place. He said, yeah, that was lovely, but I'll be hungry in another hour.
That's the wrong, isn't it, after a Chinese meal?
So we might go out into town after this and have a Chinese meal.
Oh, dear, oh dear. All right. So, yeah. Bearing in mind...
What if the Chinese are going to complain about me saying something about being Chinese burnt up? Right? Now, if I said they were the Jewish Chinese that get burnt up, there'd be a complaint straight into Harvey Bay.
Yeah. How many
and they'd go, oh, not him again.
Yes, how many times have they been at our door over cats and dogs and somebody watches and complains to them.
I'm good on that. I quite enjoy it because every time a copper comes out here, they're getting nicer and nicer. They're starting to realise who they're talking to. Right?
Oh,
those 2 coppers here the other night, they could have been nicer.
Yeah.
The 2 bitches that was here some time ago, women.
Were they looking for me that time?
Yeah, I think they were. I said to them, that's right. I said, now, if you go down that way, there's a roundabout. Yes, she said. And then there's another roundabout, keep going. And then go up, and there's a roundabout off to the restaurant to the right, don't go that way. Turn to the left, you go across the highway, go a little bit further, turn to the left again, follow it around, over the railroad line, make a left, head for Brisbane, get on the plane, and she's in fucking Rome. So I said to her, right? Oh, she says. I said, yeah. When will she be back?
This is when, what happened? Oh, it was funny. That was the morning. Now, get a load of this. This is Tugum, this quiet little country town. Karen was here, and Karen was in the habit of driving when we went into town, but this morning, it was a Wednesday morning, I remember, I said to Karen, it's all right, I'll drive. Now, I actually changed my handbag, just switched handbags before I got into the car. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, Joel's sitting in the back, and there just happens to be a random breath testing unit, 10 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday, along Reagan's Creek Road on the way out of Tugum. Hello! Yeah, all right. So I do the random breath test, It took me 3 times to get it right because I wasn't blowing hard enough or something. And then he asked me for my license, so I went to look for my license, and then I realised that I switched handbags and said, well, I haven't got it. It's in another handbag back at the house. And so I gave the name, and he came back and said, do you know that this license is suspended? And I go, oh, really? When? Since when? Now, at the time, it was stuff going on about unpaid parking fines, I think it was, because of a daughter of mine in Sydney that was driving a car that was registered in my name. Anyway, that's the backdrop to it. So he gave me 2 presentments then. One of them was for driving, not having my license on me or something like that, or driving unlicensed, and the other one was I was supposed to turn up at the Hervey Bay police station to be fingerprinted within 7 days. So of course I didn't do that, did I? I had no intention of doing any of that. And so this is why these policemen...
Well, you rang me and asked me if you wanted to go to jail.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I did phone while the policeman's checking out the information I'd given about the driving licence. And I said, is it time to go to jail yet? Do you want me to go to jail? Hello. The last thing they want in jail is somebody like me, captive audience. Oh yeah, captive audience, and just blah, blah, blah. I'd been trying for a very long time. I actually emailed at one point the Commissioner of Corrections in Victoria when they were after me again for not going to some court appearance, and I told them I'm not. I always download documents and tell them who my husband is, and I say, I'm not fronting up in your courts, they're my courts anyway. Hello? As the Queen, you're speaking to the one who is the head of the court system, not Elizabeth. She's the counterfeit. Anyway, bottom line is, they come looking for me, always with these 6 pages of offences. And how many times have they turned up at the Sedgwick house? Several times looking for me.
I got arrested.
This is before. That's when they told Yar that he was wanted for having stolen his brother's car that his brother had actually given to him, but he didn't tell his wife, and so she pressed charges for stealing the car, and it had already been towed away and squashed because that was the brother suicide car.
Oh, my brother suicide.
So Yar says, all right, I'll be down at the police station. So he gives his DVD evidence. And the story, of course, and of course it's the story of...
The big copper they built like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Him and I talking about working out, because I used to work out quite a bit. And he loves pumping. He said, I just want fantastic arms like this, right? And the other copper's trying to be serious. So I'm sort of ignoring his stupid questions, and I'm talking to this guy about working out.
Pumping iron.
And then, afterwards, I said, I want a copy of the DVD. Oh, the machine didn't work.
The machine didn't work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, Yar gave the phone number of his brother's daughter, who is Yar friendly. She's fine, and she just confirmed his story. So we were parked in the street at Castlemaine days later when this policeman comes running over to him and going, oh, here we go. And he's in through the open window. He says, it's all right, your story checked out.
He was going to arrest me for something else, though. I just says,
No, so he says, all right, your story checked out.
Driving back from Melbourne one day, I had one of the first LPG cars in Australia. And my girlfriend at the time, a big Dutch woman, very good sense of humour. And there's a little town, I get pulled up and a breathalyzer, and the cop walks up and he says, I can smell gas. I said, it wasn't me, it was her, right? Well, then he collapses on the car, laughing his head off, right? And in the distance is all these other coppers, they're looking, they thought he'd been shot. And they get drawing the guns and they're going to come running up, and he gets it, no, it's all right. So then he walks up and he says, I want you to blow in the bag, and I said, I don't know her that well. He collapsed on the ground again and crawling up the front of the car because the cops in the distance think he's been shot again, right? So that's the Australian police for you. Unfortunately, not in Hervey Bay, and there is an intelligent one.
Shall we tell the night again, since we're on a roll here, the night of coming back from Sydney and the jackaroo and the dude?
I got this unregistered jackaroo, like a 4-wheel drive Holden car, General Motors thing, and it's red. And I've taken the license plates off this Mitsubishi white van I had, and we drove to Sydney from Melbourne to pick up your paintings. And of course, on the way back, no heater in the car, and it's cold as, right? This is late at night. So in order to keep warm, I got my dressing gown and put my legs through the arms so I could pull the other part up and sort of around me like this.
Dark blue velour.
Next thing, a cop was coming the other way, and the light goes on. He turns around.
11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and he comes back, and I get out, and I'm walking up to him, and I've got these dressing gown on upside down. And I said, I suppose this is the first time you've seen an old geezer get out of the vehicle with his dressing gown on upside down, right? Well, he couldn't help himself but laugh, right? And he says, I just checked your licence on the car. I said, yeah. He said, that's a Mitsubishi. I said, that's right. It's white. I said, yeah, it's white. It's a red Holden four-wheel drive, right? He said, that's a Holden. And it's red. I said, colourblind, mate. Well, this is our banter going back and forwards, right? So anyhow, this is going on for quite a while, and I'm sort of yapping on, going back and forwards, making a joke, everything he said.
I'm sitting in the front.
And he's sort of shaking his head like this. He said, you can't drive this car like this when you've got no licence on it. I said, look, I drove it all the way from Sydney. Of course I can drive it, you know. This is... So anyhow, I'm doing 115 and 100 zone, all this kind of stuff on cruise control. He said, oh, geez, I got to talk to your wife. So he goes in, and of course you're worse, right? Yeah. Next thing I'm identifying as John the Bloody Baptist, right? So finally, he says, now, you can't move this car, right? I'll give you a ticket. $4,000 for the fines, right? Oh, yeah, right up. He said, being an old age pensioner, you can apply to pay a portion of it, right? So there you go, we'll see about that. So he said, now, I'm going now. He said, you can't move this car. You've got to get it towed, right? I said, really? I said, you were coming this way, weren't you? He said, yes. And you caught me with the speed. Yeah. Where were we going? He said, oh, I was off duty. Going home, were you? Yeah. You still going home? He said, yeah. Really? Don't move the car. He said, I will check on you to see if you're still there in 5 minutes.
You will radio ahead.
And radio ahead to have you pulled up to the next town. I said, really? So I wouldn't even think about moving it. So anyhow, on your way, right, then I'm leaning in the window talking to this copper, right? So you are going home, aren't you? Yes, he says. Right. How far away is your home? Blah, 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 down the street. And I said, oh, really? I said, I'll be waiting till your lights disappear. Right? So have a nice day. And of course he drives off, right? And he's just shaking his head down. So we just jump in the car and go, right? $4,000 fine. Never paid 1 cent of it.
Well, it didn't even turn up.
Didn't even turn up.
It was the end of it. That reminds me of, we seem to be walking down memory lane. We haven't got anything better to talk about this morning. So that reminds me of St Mary's Cathedral in Sydney.
How about the roast Chinaman?
I do feel like it's been a long time since we've had
throw another chow on a barbie, I always say.
Gay chow. Another gay chow. A rainbow coloured chow. Oh.
I don't even care if you're within the proximity and you're not gay. You shouldn't have been there. Right?
Mm. Yes.
Let that be a lesson to you homosexual chaps out there and all your lesbians and child molesters. You're all going
pedophiles. You know, those are like animals.
30th today.
Involved in human trafficking, slave trade, sex trade.
698 minutes. Marshall over Port Moresby.
Mm. So shall I continue with the St Mary's Cathedral story? We've got 10 minutes. It'll take about that time. All right. It was January 22nd.
There's no stopping it.
Yeah, 2007. Now, perhaps it was the night before. It was anyway. I was due to be back down in the Southern Highlands to celebrate Ali's birthday, so it was either 21st or 22nd of January. Might have been the night before, and David Clues is with me.
Another clue?
David Clues was with me. And I'm driving the my Liberty wagon, which was the Subaru Liberty. Freedom wagon. I call it my Freedom wagon. It's all about freedom. And the clock had not worked at all for years on it. And so David's sitting in the passenger seat, and he just goes ding, 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 and suddenly the clock is working. So it was 5:55 when we pulled up outside of St Mary's Cathedral. And I had Charlie with me, tiny little puppy Charlie. She was only with us for days. And because I was taking Charlie out to Bowral. But David wanted to go to St Mary's. So we arrived there, and I pull up, parked behind. There were 3 wedding cars. Now these wedding cars, first of all, they were Bentleys. and they had the license plates 999, Cloud 9, another one was 777, and another one was these numbers. And I'm looking at them, I'm going, oh my God. And I immediately thought, I've just walked onto a movie set that has been set up just for me. What was special also about these wedding cars is that they were not of, they were gold, but not a metallic gold paint on the vehicles. These looked like solid gold. Hello, are you getting the drift? This is a movie set I've walked into, and these wedding cars were made of solid gold. Plus there was, on the frame of the 3 wedding cars, around the frame is always the car dealer. And this was like something like Heaven's Gate Weddings. That was, and I made mental note of it because I'm thinking to myself, I've got to look these dudes up in the yellow pages when I get to a computer next time. I did, and of course they don't exist. But this was days later. So we walk into St Mary's Cathedral, and I've just parked the car to get out because we were only going to be 2 minutes. So we go into St Mary's, and now we're wandering around, and there happens to be a Greek wedding happening on this day that was interesting. And the premise for being there was that David wanted to look up, because his father, some ancestor had been a high priest, because St Mary's is actually Anglican high church, it's not Catholic. And it's in Sydney, it's the archdiocese for the Anglican church, which is, you know, I mean, there's no difference between them and Catholic anyway, it's all a ruse. So we're watching this church, and David's picking up the little candles and putting them in his pocket and wandering around looking at the statues and what was interesting was that we go to leave the church and we're standing out on the portico. So we've been in the church, we've come out, and we turn to go back in when the doors are shut behind us. Now remember, everything in my life was, at this period of time, was super prophetic. It was super pathetic, but it was highly prophetic, and was all to do with my searching for the Lord Jesus Christ on the earth, the man. So and David was seriously just the dumb bunny at the time who was being used by Michael, who was overtaking him because it was all about information for me. David the dumb bunny, all right? So we go to get back in. The wedding is still happening, but the doors are closed. We can't go back in. So we now turn around to walk down the stairs, but the doors now, because there are doors to shut this off, are now closed, and a rail dropped across this. So now we can't out. We're trapped between these 2 doors. And the one that was doing the closing of it was a baby-faced dude dressed in like monk's robes, if you like. So David just instinctively begins speaking French to him. And the guy responds in French. And he tells David that he's saved to come to Sydney on a sabbatical to work for the priests of the highest Church of England, Anglican, in Australia. All right. So David has this conversation, and I'm thinking to myself, this is prophetic of them not allowing the Lord Jesus Christ into the church. There's a joke about this, not letting Jesus in, and so this is where we're trapped. So he's not allowed in, but at the same time, you know, now we've been prevented from going down. So after this conversation with the baby-faced French dude, we go down the stairs, and David's looking at a statue down the bottom of the stairs, and I'm looking at him with the statue, and David says to me, that guy is here as a fuck for the priests, like sabbatical, you know, my ass kind of thing. He's here as a fuck. They've paid for him to come over, and they are using him as a fuck. Hello, this is St Mary's Cathedral, Anglican, in Sydney, Australia. So with that, we now start walking back to the car, and of course time has passed. We were only going to be there 2 minutes. And I see from the distance the Freedom wagon, the station wagon, with the lid up at the back, and this dude looking like a muscle man standing guard, and I see little Charlie, you know, paws up on the dashboard, and I think, oh my God, Charlie! I've forgotten about Charlie, and I've raced back to the car, and there are two policemen, a male and a female, standing at the car waiting for me with this guy who looks like protective services. He's opened up the back of my car because it didn't lock to let air in for Charlie, and I thought, oh my God. So I've opened it and I've grabbed Charlie, and all I can think about is Charlie. And these two policemen now are interrogating me and let me know that it's illegal to drive in Australia without a dog being under some kind of a harness and a restraint. It's illegal to leave a dog in a car. And I said, yes, absolutely. I agreed with everything that they had to say, and I said, throw the book at me. I'm guilty. Throw the book at me. Charge me, fine me, take me to court, take me to jail right now. I said, all I'm concerned about is that my dog is okay. And I turned around and I put my hand on the arm of the sentinel standing there. He really was a strong man, you know, a muscle builder. And I said to him, thank you. I said, thank you. And no excuses, but I said, I've only had her for a few days. I'm not used to her being with me, and we were only supposed to be in the church for a couple of minutes. Now, then the two policemen come back to me as I'm saying to them, take me away here, handcuff me, whatever you have to do, I'm guilty, take me to jail. Then they wanted to know what time did I get there? And I said, well, I don't know what time I got here. And they turned around. I'd parked outside a meter, and of course I hadn't put any coins in the meter, had I? I said, I don't know. And they said, well, according to the and I go, what parking meter? So now they've got something else they can book me on. And I'm going, oh man. In the meantime, David is sitting down in the passenger side of the car, and he brought his Bible, and he's just flicking through it like this, saying absolutely nothing. So again, I said, look, just book me, do whatever you have to do. I'm guilty, right? And then they started to ask me, this is the female, why were you in the church anyway? And I'm thinking, all right, it's one thing to be here and I'm guilty of all of these infractions, throw the book at me. But why are you asking, why was I in the church? So now I started to come back and say, listen, I've admitted to my guilt, book me, charge me, I have to get to my daughters. And why are you asking me why I was in the church? Is it not a free country and that anybody can go and visit these places? No, it's not. Hello. So I started to return now the question, why are you asking me why, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, the bottom line is that we called it quits when I started to return the questioning, and they suggested to me that I drive to, there was a 7-Eleven around the corner and get some water for Charlie, that kind of thing. And I thanked the man again profusely, and he kind of relaxed after I thanked him and said, look, it's okay, I understand, you know. Thank you. All right, so we drive off now, and David's still not said anything in the car, and all he says, and I, the entire time David Clues was in my life, it was the angel in and out of David. So we're driving along, and it's like I was being tested. And he said, that was a good response. You admitted guilt where you were guilty. Didn't try to get out of it, all the rest of it. Good response. I said, well, I did it. Hello. And then as we were driving off, a police car drove past me, right-hand lane. Now, along the police car was letters, about a foot high. And it didn't say police, it didn't have the checkered on it. It had protective services on it. And I'm going to David, oh my God, you see that? Protective services, hello? And then we were talking about the 3 wedding cars that were there, their license plates and every other thing. And I said, did you take a note of those license plates and blah, 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 and all the rest of it? And I thought they were Rolls Royces. He corrected me. He said, no, they were Bentleys. Get this part of the story straight. So later, of course, I drive out of town. I drop David off. He's going to go back to I dropped David off, making my way to, mindful that I've got to get water for Charlie. So now I stop off at the Reevesby, this place that you hate, McDonald's. And I walk in with Charlie under my arms, straight into the McDonald's. I'm standing there. There's tens of people in line. It's really busy on a Saturday evening. And now everybody's looking at Charlie, and I'm thinking to admire Charlie. So I walk up to the counter and I ask for a cup of water. That's it for my dog. So they give it to me in like a shaped cup like this. And I take it outside and she won't drink from it. The cup's too tall and too narrow. I walk back into McDonald's with Charlie under my arm a second time, and I ask for a smaller, wider container so I can put the water in it for Charlie. And then I walk back out again. And still, she doesn't want to drink it in the car. So, okay, I did what I was told by the Protective Services setup. So now I drive down to Barrel, where my family, my daughter's friends and family are gathered for her meal to celebrate her birthday, and I've come in with this wild story. What was interesting was that the table was set for 13, and I ended up sitting in the middle, and all around were the 12. And now I'm explaining to them, this is just like the setup at the Last Supper. And I'm telling the story of how this wedding went on, blah, blah, blah. And they're all just looking at me with incredulity. They were amused. They were amused, except for Ali, whose birthday it was. But then my sister told me, she said, Nell, hello? She said, Nell, do you realise that there is a $10,000 fine for having animals in restaurants like McDonald's? And said, nope. She said, had there been a health inspector, they could have been fined on the spot. That's why people were looking. It's against, you can't take pets into. Anyway, that was the night of Ali's birthday that year. All part of the Protective Services looking up, because of course I didn't receive anything in the mail of those fines. They just vanished into thin air. I didn't hear anything about it. And it literally was a setup. All in my journey in finding you, the real... I was going to say
real deal, wasn't it?
I was, but the real gold, the 197, the atomic weight of gold on this planet. And with that, it's way over time. It's the end of the show. Got nothing else to talk about. So guys, thank you for being over there in the chat room and listening to this gibberish. We'll be back tomorrow, maybe. Maybe. All right, later.
See what happens with the stars overhead tonight. Everyone get out there and have a look.
Yes, take a photograph if you can.
Take a photograph if you can. Jupiter and Venus.
Conjunct with Jupiter and Venus.
Can't miss it, go and down on the west.
It's 9 p.m. our time, isn't it?
About that.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so everything's silent over in the chat room. I have no idea if anybody's still there.
We're very close to
full moon on the 2nd,
very important.
2nd of July. All right, all good, for the good. Not so
Same
for the LGBTs or anybody else. What have we got here? Till the 12th of never. This is for the LGBTs, till the 12th of never. We'll go out with that. And later, Gators.
You ask how much I need you, must I explain? I need you, oh my darling, like roses need rain. You ask how long I'll love you, I'll tell you true, until the 12th of never, I'll still be loving you. Hold me close, never let me go. Hold me close, melt my heart like little bells forget love you till the clover has lost its perfume. I love you till the poets run out until the clover and
That's a long, long time.
until the clover and that's a
The Go Lightly Martial Hour on freedomtalkradio.net.
Alright, later gators. I'll start in the Vista babies.